Hello Flickering Myth family and welcome to our channel. My name is EJ and I am so excited for this review. As one of the most hyped movies of the year, I was nervous heading into this, but after watching it, my goodness, the hype is well deserved. We are talking about Anora. The American dream comes in all forms. Sometimes you want to just grind your butt off till you hit that next level. Sometimes people are just born rich, and then other people might have to marry a Russian twink just to get their money. Anora actually has a little bit of everything mixed into the story. We're seeing the American dream through a heavily sexualized Gen Z lens, which is crazy because Gen Z seems to be the most Puritan out of all of the groups. My goodness, Anora has my mind racing. I have not seen a romance drama comedy like this in so long. It is so much like Pretty Woman in a lot of ways, but even more twisted than that. Remember the original pitch for Pretty Woman where it was like a darker, movie before they kind of came in and made it as like, wholesome as it is at times? Yeah, that's what Anora feels like, is that OG cut of Pretty Woman. Crazy, raunchy, funny, in your face, and exactly what we need right now. Anora just hit me. It's a pleasant story in a lot of ways. It's dark, it's sad. There's a lot of emotions that I felt, but after, it was cathartic. There's this moment at the very end of the movie where our Anora, just goes through a moment, and it's just so powerful, and it sits with me, and it just made me feel so good, and it made me think, and it made my mind race, and I felt like Anora in a lot of ways, and I understood her relationship with Vanya, and then I understand, Igor, who comes into the picture, and her just wanting to know what the hell's going on at all times, even when the most chaoticness, and she's like, can someone just explain to me what is going on? Why am I being treated this way? It's just a hard-hitting story, but there's an energy. Sean Baker is a type of filmmaker who knows how to tell a story like this. Tangerine and The Florida Project are two movies very similar where it's just a gripping story, but he reminds you that life, the American dream, this way to success, this way to happiness, is going to have all these different emotions mixed throughout it, and it's such a complete story. It's such a good, complete vibe. I am happy a story this sexual, this youthful, my goodness, hearing like Brooke Candy, Slater, Tattoo on a soundtrack, it feels, the energy is just so different. I have not seen a movie like Anora all year. I loved The Challengers, I loved Queer, I loved Longlegs. There's a lot of great movies this year, but Anora is one of those movies that just sits with you, and it's gonna, I think, stand the test of time. We meet Anora, mostly going by Annie in this movie, played by Mikey Madison. You may know Mikey Madison from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Tarantino movie, or her amazing turn in Scream 5 as Amber. Well, she is playing, as I said, Anora in this film. She is a exotic dancer, maybe sometimes a girl, a working girl who just wants to have a good life. She is grinding through it. We're really watching her hustle her way through her kind of daily life, and then she kind of meets this man named Vanya, this young Russian twink kid who is adorable, who's funny, who's crazy, and wants to splurge, wants to give her what she thinks is going to be a better life. Yeah, it's crazy, and you're like, oh cool, we're gonna watch Anora like rise to power, and my goodness, does everyone want to keep her from that, even her own husband. That is kind of all I want to give you from the story. Is Annie meets Vanya gets her to marry him, and they kind of have a horrible couple days right after that marriage, and how we have to deal with his family and the people that they send to kind of deal with this situation. It's crazy, it's hard-hitting, it's fun. It's really broken down into these like 3 chapters for me. We have the meeting where we kind of meet Anora, we meet Vanya, then we have the offer. He offers her this like, hey, I want to go on this trip, I want you to stay with me, I want you to marry me. That leads into the aftermath, dealing with this. It's a great structure for a story because it lets you feel each act, it lets you feel each moment along the way. There's time to breathe. You're like, okay, I know who Annie is. So by the time, we want to see her grow, or we want to see where her feelings are by the end of the film, we have that ability to grow throughout that. I think Vanya is probably the weakest written of the characters, but he also is the lamest of the characters. He's also kind of this catalyst to really get the story going. Yes, his marriage is such a big part of the film, but we're really dealing with the family stuff. We're really dealing with the henchmen that are sent after her, mostly Igor, oh my goodness, this man is so delicious. He's so good. He's so interesting. And, when he's even tying up Anora, you feel he's just like, I don't want to do this, crazy woman. Chill out. I love the vibes. I love the humor. I love the dialogue. It all feels so fresh. This story feels fresh. Again, I kind of compared it to Pretty Woman. I'm sure you can find other comparisons to it, but I really haven't seen a story structure like this, told like this, made it feel so warm and engaging and so honest. I don't think Anora is the best written sex worker character I've ever seen, because again, sometimes I'm just like, girl, did you really want a husband that bad? This is the one you choose. There's moments where I don't agree with her character choices, but I'm like, I feel you. I understand that want, that desire, that American dream. Sometimes that American dream can turn into American wet dream, and that's what she has to deal with, is just this high fantasy that she was sold and what that melts down into. This beautiful, icy life that she was promised, and it melts down into something chilling. Like, it melts down to something she was not prepared for, and the reality of her situation, it's so great. It's so, again, such a fun, weird journey that I feel like I've never had a movie hit me like this. Sean Baker is one of those directors that I know understands working with talent well. My goodness, the work he does with Mikey Madison and Yura Borisov, the actor who plays Igor, wow. The chemistry between these two, the energy that he gives both these characters. We really see Igor mostly kind of grow throughout. He really feels like the conduit to the story. Like, he feels like he's our kind of catalyst to see through his eyes of like, what is this situation? What is this family? What is Annie? Like, why are these two things trying to mix? They're never going to mix. And we really feel him throughout this movie, and I love growing with his character. But I will say, I also thought Anora grew as well. We really are at a weird spot in her life. Women in this, like, mid-20s, like, almost to their 30s, never really know anything. Men either. Like, we're so confused. We're so lost. And we're watching her figure out, maybe this isn't the path for me. Maybe I need to keep grinding. Maybe I can't just fall in love this easy. Maybe sex won't fix everything. We're finding out these like revelations she's having and kind of coming to these conclusions. Yes, she stays as bold and brash and audacious, and she has that mouth on her. That stays throughout the movie. She doesn't really like change herself, but she really seems to learn a lesson. And not that I think she needed to. Girl, you could have had a great life if this was a better man, but we learned the lesson along with her, and I really thought that was powerful. I love the acting here. The supporting cast is great as well. I think just overall, this is such a well-made film, and I understand the awards buzz now. At first, I was just like, oh, the premise isn't as flashy as like, Nickel Boys or Emilia Perez or a lot of these kind of bigger character pieces. I was like, oh, sex worker meets a guy, gets married. But living in this movie, it's like this story can be simpler, on paper. It's like, oh, this is a simple story. But the layers that these actors give these characters, the direction from Sean Baker, the cinematography, the writing, all of this all comes together. The editing, oh my God, the editing, all of it comes together for such a complete meal. And it just truly makes so much sense. It completely earns all of the awards praise. I mean, soundtrack, score, cinematography, acting, supporting acting, all of these things really come into play to make a well-rounded film that is so worthy of the praise it's getting. And honestly, it's going to go down as one of my favorites of 2024. Well, everyone, that is it from my review of Anora, coming to theaters actually right now. You need to go seek this out. If it is at a movie theater 30 minutes away from you, start walking. Please go see this movie. Like, it is truly worth it. It can be greatly watched on digital as well. I think it's something to watch in a movie theater, at home. I think a packed audience, though, all laughing and gasping along with the twists and turns of this could be great. It's definitely worthwhile, but watch this movie any way possible. It is so worth it. Thank you guys for checking my video out. What did you think of this review? What do you think of Anora? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Subscribe to Flickering Myth for more videos like this, and give us a thumbs up if you did enjoy. All right, everyone, let's talk about this year's award season and Anora right down below.